First on, Chief Weisman.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Chief.
The first item we had was the fire department requires a medical director to practice medicine. Dr. David Dupuy is the medical director for the hospital emergency department. He requested $500 a month or $6,000 annually to function in that capacity. We feel like it's pretty reasonable for him practicing under his license, and we asked that the city attorney for permission to have the city attorney write a contract with him. So the previous one was Dr. Thomas. We had a medical director before, and Dr. Thomas back in the 80s, probably none of these requirements were as bad as they are today. So Dr. Dupuy, he's assuming a lot of liability. So we're just asking for permission to move forward with that.
Can you explain why, I mean, you and I had a good conversation the other day. Why is a medical director important for you, what you guys do?
So Dr. Dupuy is very familiar with the fire department and what we do as far as technical rescue. Let me catch my breath for a second. Masks are fun. So when we go out to technical rescue, we have to go in and we have to provide medicine in those scenarios where we can't put a paramedic in that position or predicament. The fire department is specifically trained to go into that atmosphere, deliver that patient, to deliver that medicine in that atmosphere. So therefore, we needed to have a doctor overseeing that kind of medicine. We also assist EMS going day to day to medicals. When we do that, the doctor also oversees our medical practice when we assist them. So it's very important that for hazmat, technical rescues, any environment where they can't put an EMS provider into, that we're able to give patient care in those predicaments. So Dr. Dupuy coming in, he's very familiar with that. Dr. Thomas was familiar with it, like I said, but when he negotiated his contracts in the 80s, a lot of this wasn't in place, and a lot of the regulations and liability weren't over his head. So he just assumed that as we went along. When he retired and left that and they found a new one, this is very reasonable considering if you look at the surrounding communities and what they have to pay their medical direction over the fire department.
So does he actually go out on runs?
No, he does not.
Okay.
He probably will attend. He probably will do ride-alongs at some point in time,
Right.
just to make an appropriate assessment, so that if he wants to change something or to augment something, that he can do that.
Okay, thank you.
We did have a meeting at the fire department in which he attended with our fire people to talk about where we are trying to go, what we were trying to do, so he was familiar with us, and he was very good in that meeting, input, asking questions, so I think he's going to be a hands-on medical director.
Good.
And it makes sense to have a medical director that's the same as EMS, is that?
Absolutely. So you want to provide congruent care, and we want to give the same drugs, we want to have the same services, and we want to be able to do that, work as a team, so that if we do something, it's not adverse to what EMS has got directions to do. We want to be congruent with them. So we also train side by side with EMS, so it's important that we're on the same page and they're on the same page as us. I can give you for instance, we had a call where we had a technical rescue in a grain bin, and the subject was in there with compartmentalized for more than 4 hours. So when that happens, your body metabolizes a lot of stuff, and that's all trapped in his lower extremities. And we needed to be able to give him a sodium bicarb so that when we released him, all that stuff didn't go to his lung and trash his lungs, and then throw him into cardiac arrest. It was very difficult to do so because we did not have an EMS provider that was capable of doing that. We actually had to use a Salina paramedic, firefighter paramedic, and put them in the hole in order to go give him a saline lock and then provide that. So this is allowing us to practice in that capacity as well, and helps us with better patient care.
Good.
So
Thanks for the explanation. Appreciate it.
Chief, just a couple questions. Is that a mandated position that we have that? Or is that something you just would like to do?
no, so if we can't practice medicine without having
Okay,
a medical director over the top of us,
okay. And how does that, I always thinking budget-wise, what were we paying Dr. Thomas to do this? Did this increase or decrease? Or
so this is something that is new. So we'll have to actually cut things out of the budget this year in order to do this, because this was not anticipated. I did not foresee this when he came in. I was used to Dr. Thomas in the past. Dr. Thomas just did it pro bono because he contracted. That was a negotiation back in the day when
Okay,
this wasn't here.
so you say this is budgeted?
It was not.
It was not budgeted?
No.
We have to make adjustments in our fire department budget in order
Yeah.
to do this,
Mhm.
And you can do that? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
okay? You can bring it next week.
Bring it, right.
Okay. So the next thing, we're requesting a motion to hire Asa Manor, effective August 10th. Asa interviewed. He is a Marine veteran. He was interviewed very well for the position of firefighter full-time. So we wanted to move forward with that next week as well.
Explain why you need them.
So we are actually down 2 positions right currently. We're soon to be down 3 positions with a retirement of a lieutenant. So right now we're actually using more overtime to fill minimum staffing requirements, and we need to get more. We need to fill our ranks back up so that we don't, 1, burn out our people, and 2, so we stop spending overtime.
Okay.
Will this be a conditional hire based on some additional education?
This one is not.
This
He
one's
has
not?
everything.
Okay.
I say bring it.
Okay, very
Bring
nice.
it Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tammy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning I have before you, on March 16th, the commission adopted the physical capacity profile testing and also at that time designated advanced physical therapy as our physical capacity profile testing location. Over the last several months, I've been working with Heather at Advanced Physical Therapy and with department heads and then frontline supervisors to place each safety-sensitive position in the right job level classification. So on the first attachment, you'll see that there are the different levels that we worked with. We went through each job description and determined the level that we felt each job would fit into which category. So, and then the second attachment is all the jobs that we went through. There are 64 job descriptions listed there. Going through each job description, I noticed that there were some things that needed to be updated a little bit. So we started on those 64 job descriptions going through and making those changes. Some of the changes that were very minor, most of them were minor grammatical errors. But the one thing I wanted to add on each of these job descriptions was the last date that we updated it so we know where we need to start. And then we also added the job classification level, whether there are 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then the other thing that needed to be updated on most of them was the residency requirement. When we went through the compensation study, they recommended we make some changes there, and we did. You all approved that, but that did not get updated on those job descriptions. Also, I made sure that everybody was listed as exempt or non-exempt according to how they're being paid at this time. And then I did put the deputy fire chief on there as an example of what some of the changes that were, but we changed that from assistant fire chief to deputy fire chief. So then all the people that report to him, we had to go through and make sure that they were reporting to the correct job title. So the other thing that I made sure of, there were some on there that there's a list of CAPERS or KPNF or FMLA eligible. I made sure those were all updated as well. So once I made all the changes, I met with department heads and then the frontline supervisors, and we make sure that everything was in line. And to review everything and make sure that they were exactly the way they wanted them. So, after having done all that, I think for these safety sensitive positions, we're ready to start the physical capacity profile testing. So I would like to bring this forward next week and then make it, that anybody we hire after August 3rd would have that as a post offer, job requirement to go through that testing.
Anybody have a problem?
Right. Good.
Bring it forward.
Bring it forward.
Okay, thank you.
I did wanna say thank you for, I know you put a lot of time and effort into
Yes.
All right.
adding all these here, and I know it took a while to get there, but I wanna say thank you for
Thank you.
for all your work.
Yes, it does. And so my goal would be is that we still have a few departments that we haven't touched the job descriptions. The ones that aren't gonna be required to do physical capacity profile testing, so I'm gonna start working on getting those all updated as well, so.
So do we have a contract or a set price with the, advanced therapy, I think?
Yes.
Is that correct?
It's $105 per test,
Okay.
and I think we discussed that at that time.
We did.
That
and
that's gonna be-
I
yeah.
guess I remembered it after I started asking, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And they actually helped you evaluate all these
Yes.
positions as well.
she and I work together every week for several weeks to try to get
Good.
these 64. Some of the jobs that are listed on there will not require the physical capacity profile testing. I put that on there so they won't have a level on their job.
Good.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
One of the morals to the story is don't change the job title. Cause then everybody that reports to that job title needs change too. Okay, Jeff, what you got?
The excavation is underway on Hardup Street between Kansas Avenue and Elizabeth. During the excavation, the existing service to the traffic signals was found to be only 12 inches deep, which is in the way of the new construction. The service line will have to be lowered before the project work can be accomplished. We received a quote from Headland Electric in the amount of $4,110. Time is of the essence to get the work completed so we don't hold the project up any further.
Bring it.
Yeah,
And finally, shortly after the first of the year, we submitted a C-CLIP application. C-CLIP is City Connecting Link Improvement Program. This application was to mill and overlay Main Street from Kansas Avenue to the railroad tracks. Unfortunately, this past week I received word that the project was not selected for funding. KDOT received 81 applications totaling $56 million in total project cost. They awarded 36 projects for a total of $18.5 million. So we'll try again next year.
Okay, good enough.
did we offer any,
Up front?
assistance in the project,
Did we what?
Match.
any match?
Yeah, we offered the required match.
Okay. That's gonna be an important thing under Secretary Lawrence,
Mhm.
so. We keep it, when we reapply, we might take a look at where we're at.
Okay?
Okay, that's, anybody else have anything for study session?
Right.
Joni?
Joni?
I'm sorry I'm not on there, but
good morning.
Morning.
this has come up rather quickly, so I emailed Jeff Houston last week and Nick. The building that Daylight Donuts was in, they're remodeling that building, and I noticed when I drove by yesterday, they're really working really quickly on it, and they want the mural removed. And so there is an easement, because they're going to actually put windows back in. They're going to remodel it back to the way it was originally. So the mural is covering up some of the windows. So Brenda Becker had contacted me about a week or two ago, kind of when it was kind of crazy at my office. So, but I noticed they're really moving quickly. So I need some guidance on what we need to do with that easement clause that we have.
The easement, just so you're aware, is in place till 2024, and there's not really an out clause. But then the real question is, you know, in the interest of working with her to, as she restores that building, is it in our best interest to vacate any sort of easement on that building? And that's a discussion point that the commission may want to have. I don't know, we talked about trying to find a different location potentially for that mural.
Can it be taken down?
What's that?
Can it be taken down?
Public Works put it up, so yeah, it absolutely could be.
I contacted
Take it back
Jeff as
down.
well, but I told him to wait to see.
Part of
what
that
advice was.
easement agreement would be that we restore it, and maybe that's part of, you know, since they're gonna be doing the work to go back in, maybe that's part of the offering that we would, to drop that agreement, if they're working on the building anyways, that they'd go back in and they'd do any of the repairs from it. I don't know if that's a negotiating piece that comes along with that. I don't know what's all gonna be, what kind of repairs need to be made with that, if they're gonna take off.
Well, there's anchors into the wall that'll have to be patched, and the other thing that easement said was that we would repaint because it'll, you know, the color won't match, so we'd repaint the wall.
But I don't know
And
whether,
you may-
I
But if
don't
they're
know
gonna-
what's all involved with
If
the
they're gonna
restoration.
remodel the building, chances are it, well, it may or may not be the same color, so.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's
and they're
right.
gonna put windows in where the mural is, so, you know, I would be in favor of negotiating a way to take the mural down, and then it's their problem on the remodeling.
And then the other question would be finding someone else to potentially house the mural if
Yeah.
we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and I've contacted Ann Engel, and we're working on trying to figure out we're asking some people, so that hasn't been found yet, but I suppose we can store it in the
And
trolley
then-
building or
And then the
somewhere.
question would be whether we could get Public Works to put it back up again at another location. Or do you wanna have some restoration done on it before you put it back up?
What is on that mural?
That's Central Christian College.
Okay.
So we're actually gonna contact them first and see if they know.
Okay,
So,
yeah, they may have
Good.
somebody,
sorry, the murals will kind of before my time, and
yeah.
but we're trying to figure out how to
Hopefully-
solve this problem. So
Hopefully, we can negotiate a settlement,
But
do it,
you
and-
as a governing body are fairly open-minded to go ahead
Yeah.
and mean that.
right.
Okay,
okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Chief?
Talk
Right.
about surgical masks. I want to know what you would like to do going forward. I found at a store up in Salina, $18.98 for a box of 50. They have crates full. I can go up there and probably get about 2,000 masks for about $760 if you want to get a stock before it hits and before all the departments are going to start needing them. We can get ahead of it right now, just with a smaller order of 2,000 to see where we're going to be.
You're gonna be getting requests for them.
You know it.
What's the quality, I ask you that?
It's
Just-
the 3-ply, basically what Wayne's wearing.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess,
So I can send somebody up to go pick them up, and then we can divvy it out to the other departments.
right, it
Okay.
solves our immediate problem, and,
And we have some cloth masks on order that we'll be giving to every employee as well.
Yeah.
But, we understand that there may be a need for providing masks too, if any
Okay.
mask mandate ever happens, or whatever the case may be. Or just people that come in that would like
I've
to
seen
have
them
a
do it now,
mask.
go get them
and we'll
before we.
provide.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring this up again, when we get out of recess. Okay? Anything else?